5000 BCE. Small tribal peoples develop across the United States. 1000 BCE. The woodland period begins, including the Adena culture and the Hopewell peoples. 1000 CE. The Mississippian culture develops along the Mississippi River and the Ohio River. 1400s. The United States is inhabited by various historic tribes across the land, such as the Apache, Cherokee, Chickasaw, Navajo, and Sioux. 1492. Christopher Columbus discovers the Americas. 1513. Juan Ponce de Leon visits Florida. 1565. St. Augustine is established as the first permanent settlement in the United States. 1607. The Jamestown settlement is founded by John Smith. 1620. The Mayflower lands with the Pilgrims at Plymouth. 1754. The French and Indian War begins between Great Britain and France. Both ally with different Native American tribes. 1763. The British win the French and Indian War, gaining most of France's territory in North America. 1770. The Boston Massacre occurs. 1774. The First Continental Congress is held. The British government imposes the Intolerable Acts on the colonies. 1775. The Revolutionary War begins with the Battle of Lexington and Concord. 1776. The American colonies declare their independence as the United States of America. 1781. The British surrender at Yorktown, Virginia. 1783. The Revolutionary War officially ends with the Treaty of Paris. 1789. George Washington becomes the first president of the United States. 1793. The cotton gin is invented by Eli Whitney. 1804. Explorers Lewis and Clark set out on their journey to the Pacific Ocean. 1812. The War of 1812 begins against Great Britain. 1815. U.S. troops led by Andrew Jackson defeat the British at the Battle of New Orleans. 1823. The Monroe Doctrine is declared by President James Monroe. 1836. The Battle of the Alamo takes place in Texas. 1846. The Mexican-American War begins. 1860. Abraham Lincoln is elected president. 1861. The American Civil War begins. 1863. The Union Army wins the Battle of Gettysburg. Lincoln issues the Emancipation Proclamation. 1865. The American Civil War comes to an end. President Abraham Lincoln is assassinated. 1867. Alaska is purchased from Russia. 1876. The telephone is invented by Alexander Graham Bell. 1881. The American Red Cross is founded by Clara Barton. 1891. Basketball is invented by James Naismith. 1903. The airplane is invented by the Wright brothers. They make their first flight at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. 1910. The Boy Scouts of America is founded. 1917. The United States joins World War I on the side of the Allies, declaring war on Germany. 1918. President Woodrow Wilson issues his 14 points on World War I. 1920. Women gain the right to vote through the 19th Amendment. 1929. Wall Street crashes and the Great Depression begins. 1935. The Social Security Act is signed into law. 1939. World War II begins. The U.S. is initially neutral. 1941. The Japanese bomb Pearl Harbor. The U.S. joins World War II on the side of the Allies. 1945. Germany surrenders and the U.S. drops atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan. 1950. The Korean War begins. 1955. Rosa Parks is arrested in Montgomery, Alabama for not giving up her seat on the bus. 1962. The Cuban Missile Crisis occurs. The Soviet Union ends up removing its missiles from Cuba. 1963. Martin Luther King Jr. gives his "I Have a Dream" speech at the March on Washington. 1963. President John F. Kennedy is assassinated. 1964. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 is passed. 1968. Martin Luther King, Jr. is assassinated. 1969. Neil Armstrong becomes the first man to walk on the moon. 1974. President Richard Nixon resigns over the Watergate scandal. 1986. The Space Shuttle Challenger explodes shortly after takeoff. 1990. The Gulf War begins as Iraq invades Kuwait. 2001. The 9/11 terrorist attacks occur when hijacked passenger planes crash into the World Trade Center towers and the Pentagon. 2003. The Iraq War begins as the U.S. and other countries invade Iraq. 2009. Barack Obama becomes the first African-American president of the United States. 2010. The Affordable Care Act is signed into law. 2011. Osama bin Laden, the mastermind behind the 9/11 attacks, is killed by U.S. forces in Pakistan. 2012. Barack Obama is re-elected as President of the United States for a second term. 2013. Edward Snowden leaks classified information revealing extensive surveillance programs by the National Security Agency. 2015. The United States, along with other nations, signs the Paris Agreement to combat climate change. 2016. Donald Trump, a businessman and reality TV star, wins the presidential election and becomes the 45th President of the United States. 2018. The #MeToo movement gains momentum, leading to a widespread reckoning with sexual harassment and assault. 2019. The House of Representatives impeaches President Trump, charging him with abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. 2020. The COVID-19 pandemic spreads across the United States, leading to widespread lockdowns and economic disruptions. 2021. Joe Biden is inaugurated as the 46th President of the United States, defeating Donald Trump in the election. 2022. The United States begins to gradually withdraw its troops from Afghanistan, ending the longest war in its history. 2023. The United States experiences a severe economic recession following the collapse of a major financial institution, leading to widespread job losses and economic uncertainty.